What's up? What's up? We back at it. Another episode of Father's Perspective. I'm A Squared the Rider with Aunt Petty. I'm saying, tell the people who you are. Introduce yourself.
What's going on, y'all? Aunt Petty. You can find me at Hub Petty on Instagram and Twitter, and also gym owner over at Oakland. Gym owner in Oakland at Compound Strength and Conditioning. You can find us on High Street, 3405 High Street. Yeah, come check us out.
Okay. What else you got going outside of that? Like you just got that new position.
Oh yeah, running back position. Running back coach over at Skyline High School. So yeah, we're doing that right now. We want to know at this point, so we want to keep that going. Yeah, that's it.
So you coming from your background, gym owner, husband, 3 kids, coach now, coaching, multiple players. So you know all about the power of being involved and not being involved. You know the consequences of that. And that's the next point where we're going over. So according to ncbi.gov, it says that this type of parenting, children are given a lot of freedom, as this type of parent normally stays out of the way. I don't see how that's possible. Fill the child's basic needs, food, clothes, but while generally remaining detached from the child's life. An uninvolved parent does not utilize a particular disciplining style and has a limited amount of communication with the child. They tend to offer a low amount of nurturing while having either few or no expectations of their children. So we already know that ain't cool. So I'm not gonna ask you what's the pros of that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So, my question to you is like, if someone has that type of parenting style, if they just not really involved in their kids' life, they just cook food, give them clothes, and have somewhere for them to live, what's the consequences of that? What's the potential consequences you would say?
I think when you read it off, when you read the little excerpt, and it said kids who parents have this style, they have a lot of freedom. And so the first thing that came to mind was when I was a kid, I was asking my dad about like, what's this like, too much of anything, right? And so I was like, what happens if you eat too many eggs, Dad? And he said, son, too much of anything will kill you. You know what I mean? So immediately when you say, they have a lot of freedom, too much of anything is deadly. So yeah, you shouldn't leave a child out there like that. What was the actual question though? What was your question?
Well, now you answered it. Like, what's the consequences of that? And that's not to sound extreme or nothing like that, but when you give a kid too much freedom, in my opinion, you letting like the floodgates of danger just come in. You know what I'm saying? From all different angles, all different walks of life. You don't care about what they're doing in school. You don't care about their friends, the association that they have. You're not teaching them to set goals. You're not teaching them life skills to have. So when they do give it a grown adult, they probably don't know nothing about taking care of themselves.
Yeah, and I mean, to me, another word, if you say uninvolved, like to me, that's negligent, and that's against the law with your kid. You know what I mean? Like, it's child endangerment. You feel me? So hell no.
What it say here, this last little sentence, it says the kid might have trouble controlling their emotions, less effective coping strategies, may have academic challenges, and difficulty with maintaining or nurturing social relationships. And like you had talked about what happened at the game, how you trying to be supportive of the players, like, hey man, let that go, keep trying.
Right.
He didn't want to hear it, but he did. He conquering that hurdle. But every kid is not like that. Why? Because they're not being taught how to deal, like this is, cope with different things that go on in their life. And if you as a parent, if you have this style where you're uninvolved, you're not teaching and guiding your child, like you said, that's horrible. You said that's being negligent. Yeah. Just letting your child go out there in the world with no kind of game, nothing whatsoever, and that's horrible.
I used to work in education, in special ed, and then I did like some general education stuff like a couple years. But when I was in the special ed side of it, and you take all these different trainings, they were saying that what happens is, we were talking about coping mechanisms. If you have parents that are uninvolved, they don't feel safe. Like even if there's not, no sexual trauma, no, physical abuse or anything like that, but the fact that they can't count on the people that are supposed to take care of them to keep them safe,
Yeah.
even on an emotional level, then that's when they go out and they have to find other ways to cope, whatever those means may be. So yeah, like some people think like, I'm just letting him figure it out, or I'm letting her figure it out. Like, still, you never know. Like that kid may want you to come in and they may want you just to be like, hey, this is what I'm seeing. Even if this is if you with the whole exploration thing, just providing feedback and alternative choices.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I parent like that, but I'm saying having some feedback, having some type of engagement with the kid, especially when they're going through something, is going to be better than just being like, well, you need to figure it out. That's on you. It's your life.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? You think about at 12 years old or at 15 years old, somebody telling me that, like, I just need to figure it out. Like, I don't know what the fuck. Like,
exactly.
All right. Yeah.
So it's like, what I think about that, what you said, is kind of like why you think a lot of people have failed relationships.
Mm-hmm.
They were never taught how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
They were never taught how to work through, certain disagreements and situations constructively.
Right.
Like you said, it's kind of like, oh, if it ain't going my way, I'm going this way.
Out of here.
And that's the last part. It says, have trouble nurturing social relationships. So a lot of problems that we as adults have, you could trace back to how people was raised. How a person was raised.
Oh, for sure.
And out of all these four that we've talked about, from authoritarian to authoritative to permissive and now uninvolved, uninvolved is for sure the worst one out of all of them. Just hands down, being just totally uninvolved.
I said that, yeah. I could see that. Yeah. I was gonna say I could possibly make an argument for the permissive one. But yeah, this is the only one that we've gone over so far that in the state of California is illegal.
Illegal.
Like, you leaving your kid by themselves is illegal.
You're pretty much a deadbeat parent, pretty much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like slang, you a deadbeat parent, mom or dad, because you got both. You got both. Like kind of like though, people who kind of like always dropping their kids off their mom and their dad, the grandparents. The grandparents too old to chase around a little teenager, or a youngster. What I'm saying? That's being uninvolved. That's not the best choice as far as what kind of parents you want to be. But the thing about it is, the whole purpose of this is trying to help people aware. I mean, like, people probably don't even really probably think about their parenting style. So that's why I'm kind of like trying to help people to see, like, hey, like, pay attention to what you teaching your kids. So then at that point, like, you're a personal trainer, so once you do that diagnostic check or something, it's like, okay, now we know what we need to work on. I mean, so if you a parent that's uninvolved, or that's too permissive, or maybe you too much like the authoritarian, what's my way or the highway, now you know what certain things you need to work on,
Right. And I would venture to say that honestly, bro, that most of us, if we're being honest, are a mixture of all four, but at different points in times. That's not to say I've ever like left my kids and just let them be by themselves for an extended period of time, but definitely, like, I mean, if we're saying uninvolved, if you in your phone for 2 hours out of the day and you got a small kid sitting there, that's the same thing. Exactly. So it's not to say like if we don't look at it, at each of them in their extreme forms, and we just think about, okay, as parents, like, how can we be better? Okay, I do need to be more engaged with my kids. I do need to get off my phone. I do need to get off Instagram, whatever. I need to get out of work. Yeah. I need to spend time with them, and just do that kind of that reflecting and have that introspective conversation with yourself. Yeah. We'll all be better for it.
Yeah. Like you said, it's like, at times, sometimes you got to be that authoritarian. Like, hey, I said, do this. Like, I said to do your chores. Like you said, you got to pick and choose when at appropriate times when it be like that.
Right.
Like sometimes
But
you
like, you know,
sometimes you gotta be uninvolved and be like, hey, that's your project. You know,
right,
handle it.
right.
Or, you know, hey, I want this cleaned up, but you do it your way. You know what I mean? Be
I think that's a really good point too that you're saying is like, because we were only looking at them in one light of, okay, this is the negative aspect of being uninvolved, but also allowing them time to figure out,
yeah,
like you said, if it's a homework project and you've helped them, and they on the last problem, and you're like, no, I need you to go ahead and I need you to sit down and figure this out. So you are taking a step back, but that's only after you've given them a bunch of, you know, positive reinforcement and stuff like that. So yeah, now I think that's a constructive way to say, no, I want you to sit there. I want you to grapple with this thing for a minute and try to understand it for yourself. And in that way, when you get to school, you'll also have the tools, you also have the belief, the agency in yourself that you can figure this out. That was a good, I didn't even think to flip it that way.
and that's why we're having this discussion. That's the whole purpose of this podcast is to try to look at things from different angles. Like I love that saying, like it takes a village to raise a child. You know what I'm saying? And the more feedback we get from other people, especially people that's really involved in their kids' life, you know what I'm saying? The better. So if someone is watching this and you feel you got some good points, join the podcast. Request to be a join the podcast, or you leave comments. You know what I'm saying, or questions and stuff. Like we encourage all of that. So since we talked about those 4 different parenting styles, next time we're gonna see what kind of parent did you want to be before you had kids, and now how are you now? We're gonna talk about that in the next 2 weeks. So until that happens, remember, everyone, if you're watching, actions speak louder than words. And I'm gonna leave it with this. One of my favorite quotes by Frederick Douglass. He said, "It's easier to build strong children than repair broken men." So let that sink in until next time. So until then, bruh, I'm gonna talk to you. Be smooth.
Oh, good. Peace.
Yeah.